I think Bruno had actually sent us an email. Bruno in Springfield, you there?
Yes, Matt.
Did you send an email that I didn't answer or suggested a call? I don't know.
Well, yeah. Well, I did send an email, but also, of course, Jamie put me on the line, and I was, of course, hoping to speak with you.
Cool. Well, go ahead. We'll probably get this entirely wrong, or I will.
All right. Well, I am a biology teacher near Springfield, Missouri, and I've been teaching evolution for many years as a Christian. And so I would, of course, say it's only a theory. I used to play that game. Yeah. But then the more I taught it, I realized that evolution is not, well, it's a theory, and that means something. And, of course, over the past year or so, I've become an atheist.
Can I ask a quick question here?
Yeah.
Do you think, in hindsight, do you think that you were qualified or unqualified to teach evolution when you were doing it as a Christian?
I was unqualified, like I think many teachers are, until they actually begin studying and teaching it. Because you don't learn these things in college. You learn a lot of method. Yeah. And you have to get out and study and prepare your lesson. And that's how you learn, by teaching, unfortunately. As the kids are guinea pigs. But the more I learned about evolution, the more I realized that I was spouting nonsense about it being only a theory. And I was looking at analogous structures and saying, well, of course they all look the same because God made them all. That's why they all look the same.
Were you teaching that? Were you teaching God at all when you were doing this?
I was slipping him in the side door.
Okay. So using the code words.
That's not okay, but I understand.
Yeah. So basically you were using code words to kind of skirt around the law. Yeah.
Okay. And of course, nationwide, only about 33% of biology teachers actually teach evolution. Yeah. It's astounding. Our children are not being taught evolution. And then there's a few like me that are teaching it with a slant.
Yeah.
But I teach it fully now, and it's helped me to see that atheism makes a little more sense. But the reason why I'm calling, I wanted to give you that background, is I'm being allowed to teach philosophy now to juniors and seniors. And this is a small K-12 school, only 300 kids. So this is incredibly rare that a little rural school in Missouri would have a philosophy class. And so I've been teaching a couple of things. I wanted to tell you what I've been teaching, and I'd love to get your thought on what are some fundamentals, what are some things I just absolutely ought to include in the curriculum, because I can teach anything I want.
David Hume. I mean, it's probably not fair for me to do that to your students, to just say all you need to know is David Hume, because that's not true. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, so what I did is I started off with Plato's Cave. And students loved it, and they got it, and it was deep and meaningful, because they haven't been asked to think that way, really, in the public school. A lot of it is just rote memory and worksheets and that sort of thing. So Plato's Cave, they got it. We had a week's discussion on that. We've learned deductive logic, inductive logic, abductive logic, and now we've learned about 20 logical fallacies. By studying those, we look at funny commercials. Matter of fact, we've used your program a couple of times. There's a caller, Aziz, was a Muslim who was obfuscating, so my students now know what it means to obfuscate because of your program.
Hooray.
We've watched...
Something wonderful has come from Islam.
Yeah, exactly. It's the first time. A little bit of Sam Harris. And, of course, I'm going to do some Socrates. I think I know St. Thomas Aquinas, the 5 ways. I think I understand that relatively well. So I'm just kind of looking at some big things. I can go anywhere I want. It's just I can't teach everything, of course. It's just a sampling. But other than David Hume, what are some ideas, fallacies, things that you think might be essential? And I don't want to turn my kids into atheists. I just want to get them to think. Right. I don't want to use my position like I used to kind of prop up Christianity. And now I don't want to prop up atheism.
And I would say for me, so I'm wondering if there's curriculum that you have to adhere to, or some kind of, I don't know what the limits are. And some people are going to think this is a bit weird for me to say this. I don't think that examples from our show should be in a public high school philosophy class. As much as I wish that that might be the case, I think that might be crossing a line as well, where, because the thing about philosophy, the thing about logic, it's independent from any religion, that you don't have to put an atheist label on it. We're getting into the teach kids how to think and not what to think. And so there are some good online resources with regard to critical thinking that I think should accompany any discussion of logical reasoning, fallacies, etc. But if it's truly like an introduction to philosophy type of thing, while as much as I'd love to have conversations about fallacies and examples, and I love the going through advertisements and what type of propaganda are they using and is it a fallacy? I think a proper introduction to philosophy ought to take a couple examples of thoughts behind epistemology, which is why I go with Hume right off the bat. Just Hume, Descartes, Kant, Hobbes, etc., and look at what they thought about a specific topic. If you can find something where there's like 5 or 6 philosophers from different schools, or whether they're coherentists or foundationalists, whether they're internalists, externalists, show what they thought, have the students mull it over, and even have them argue and discuss it. Because for me, that's what philosophy is. I've reached a position where I have certain ways of looking at things, but it was because I went through all these other things as well. And as much as I'd love to, teach, and I have spoken to philosophy classes before, I don't know that the Atheist Experience show or Sam Harris or anybody else is necessarily safe territory. I think you may be asking for more trouble.
Well, and I agree. They're not ready for you guys yet, or Sam Harris. So the clips I've used have been very limited and short, and to serve a purpose, because there's no polite way to tell someone that their religion is folly, as they say. And these are young kids. They're not ready for that. Now they want to. They want to fight. Some of them are atheists, and they want to have the discussion: is there a God? They want to fight about abortion and a number of topics. But I said, we're not ready for that yet. We need to learn about logical fallacies, and we need to get a good foundation before we just jump in and decide, if there's a God or not, or if abortion should be legal or not, and those sorts of things. But they want to go there. But again, they're young, and I don't want to push them in any particular direction.
Yeah, well, and I agree with Matt. I don't think that our show is maybe a very good thing to put in front of high school kids in a philosophy class as an example of how to use concepts in philosophy. I think they do need a good foundation in some of the more prominent philosophers, and the ones that Matt named off as a good start. And then maybe later in the semester, when they've demonstrated a good foundation and they can argue a point back and forth, maybe, like what Matt was saying about, an advertisement, and have them pick out the logical fallacies as kind of a fun end of semester kind of, hey, we've done our final exam and everything. We're just going to apply this in a fun way at the end.
Yeah, and we've done a little bit of that, and they love it, and they're really great at picking out the logical fallacies and even seeing where, is it this fallacy or that one, and the debate back and forth, and maybe it's a little bit of both.
I promise this isn't self-promotional. I've been sitting here thinking about this while you and Jen were talking. Perhaps something that would be better or more acceptable than just, hey, there's a cord underneath the table I just kicked. Having a call off the show would be to take a debate that 2 people have done on a particular topic and have the students do a review of both sides and discuss it. Because that way you're nowhere near endorsing anything else. And you may even, grab a couple of these, and it doesn't have to be, does God exist or did Jesus rise from the dead? There's a lot of great debates out there on, political ideology and other things that groups have done. And this gets them to think. But if you're that now we're getting closer to teaching a debate class and not a philosophy class. So who knows?
Right. And as far as curriculum, there's nothing set. I mean, it can go anywhere we want it to go.
I think that may be the scariest thing.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this as a slight against you. I am absolutely terrified of, hey, we're going to have this class in our school, but there's no curriculum. Because this is how Bible classes get in. When they say, hey, I am a fan of comparative religions classes, and I am a fan of studying religious scriptures in a secular context of reading it and understanding about how this influenced culture and all these other things. And that's how they end up weaseling this in. There'll be a Bible class where they have a curriculum that they then ignore and proselytize. If they didn't have that curriculum and just said, we're doing a Bible class, it just shouldn't be allowed. There should be some curriculum and somebody should be held to it. So I appreciate the fact that you're doing this. I'd reach out to other philosophy teachers and professors at university to talk about what they would recommend, not what the jackass on the Atheist Experience show would recommend. You may be getting. I
totally understand that.
I apologize, but we have completely run out of time. And I got to let you go. My apologies to the other callers. You can always email tv@atheist-community.org